This is happening right now in Jerusalem. The streets went silent. Even reporters had no words. And when I tell you why, you'll understand what's truly unfolding. The mainstream media isn't covering this, but the truth can't stay hidden forever. You're watching this because God wanted you to see it. Something in your spirit recognizes this moment as different. The ancient stones of the old city shimmered under the morning sun. The dome of the rock glowed gold beneath a clear sky. Synagogues, churches, and mosques all stood in silence, the same soil where prophets walked, the same streets that heard the Messiah's footsteps. It began as an ordinary day in Jerusalem. Merchants opened their shops along the narrow streets of the old city. Pilgrims made their way to sacred sites. The Western Wall Plaza filled with the devout, swaying in prayer. That's when they arrived. First, just 7 of them. 7 strangers from different nations, walking silently through Jaffa Gate. They carried no banners, wore no identifying marks, yet somehow people noticed. Conversations halted mid-sentence as the 7 passed by. An old shopkeeper dropped his keys. A tour guide forgot her rehearsed speech. Children pointed wordlessly. "I felt a presence," said Rachel Cohen, who sells olive wood carvings near the entrance to the Jewish quarter. It wasn't frightening, but I couldn't speak. None of us could. The 7 strangers from America, Russia, Ethiopia, China, Brazil, Australia, and Israel had never met before. Each had received the same dream 3 nights prior. Come to Jerusalem on this day, stand at the Temple Mount, wait for the sign. They found each other without speaking, drawn together by an invisible thread of purpose. As they approached the Temple Mount, thousands of people suddenly stopped what they were doing and turned to watch. Phones were raised to capture the moment, but strangely, no images would appear, just white light. "I tried to record what was happening," said Omar al-Masri, a student visiting from Jordan, "but my phone wouldn't work. Neither would anyone else's." By noon, the 7 had reached the Western Wall Plaza, and that's when the ancient prophecy began to unfold. My friend, can you feel this in your spirit? Do you realize we are witnessing what generations only dreamed of? God is moving the pieces of the end times. The veil between heaven and earth is getting thinner. Write in the comments, "Maranatha, come, Lord Jesus." Now that you know this, what will you do about it? Until then, stay ready, stay faithful. Maranatha. Today, something impossible appeared over the Temple Mount. People left their work and looked up at the sky. Even the most skeptical fell silent with wonder. And when I tell you why, you'll understand why this cannot be explained away. They don't want you to see what's really happening. But truth has a way of finding those with eyes to see. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the ancient walls of Jerusalem. The Mount of Olives stood as a silent witness to what was unfolding. The same hills that have watched over centuries of prayer and prophecy. As the 7 strangers stood in silent prayer at the Western Wall, something began to change in the atmosphere. The air grew still, unnaturally still. Birds ceased their songs. The constant hum of the city faded to nothing. It started as a pinpoint of light directly above the dome of the rock, a single star visible in broad daylight. Those who noticed it first thought it must be a drone or aircraft, but it didn't move. It grew. The light expanded outward in concentric circles, pulsing with colors no one could quite name. Not quite gold, not quite white, something both ancient and new. Within minutes, it stretched across the entire Temple Mount, a canopy of living light. "I've served at this post for 15 years, said Eli Dahan, a security officer at the Western Wall. "I've seen protests, celebrations, every kind of human activity, but this was different. The light seemed to be breathing. Thousands gathered now. Muslims stepped out from Al-Aqsa Mosque. Christians emerged from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Jews from prayer at the wall. Tourists and locals alike all watched in awe as the light continued to expand. What happened next defied all natural explanation. From the center of the light, a sound emerged. Not thunderous or frightening, but clear and resonant, like a shofar, but sustained. It echoed off the ancient stones, growing not in volume but in depth, as if calling from the foundations of the earth. The 7 strangers, still positioned around the Western Wall Plaza, raised their hands simultaneously. They hadn't coordinated this gesture. They weren't following a leader, yet in perfect unison, they lifted their palms to the sky, and the light responded. From the canopy above, 7 beams of intensified brightness extended downward, connecting with each of the 7 strangers. Those standing nearby reported feeling warmth, but not heat, a presence, but not pressure. It was like standing in a gentle summer rain, but made of light instead of water, described Hannah Moreno, a pilgrim from Mexico. Oh, I could feel it on my skin, but it didn't blind my eyes. What the world doesn't understand is that this isn't coincidence. This is prophecy in motion. As Zechariah foresaw, on that day living water will flow out from Jerusalem. Zechariah 14:8. And as John witnessed in Revelation, I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God. Revelation 21:2. My friend, can you feel this in your spirit? The ancient words awakening in our time. Like this video if you believe God is still speaking today. Share this message so more people awaken to what's happening. While the world sleeps, God is calling those who are awake. Are you ready for what comes next? Until then, stay ready, stay faithful. Maranatha. Jerusalem stopped this morning for a reason no one can explain. Even reporters had no words. The streets went silent, and when I tell you why, you'll understand what generations have been waiting to witness. Something in your spirit recognizes this moment as different. You're seeing this because you were chosen to understand. The morning sky over Jerusalem transformed as the light continued to pulse above the Temple Mount. What began as a localized phenomenon had now expanded to cover much of the old city. People from every corner of Jerusalem could see it, a canopy of living light that seemed to breathe with divine purpose. By now, thousands had gathered. The narrow streets of the old city filled with people moving toward the Western Wall Plaza, Muslims, Christians, Jews, all drawn by the same inexplicable calling. For once, there was no division, no argument over sacred space. All stood in reverent wonder. The 7 strangers, still connected by beams of light, remained motionless in their positions. Their faces reflected not fear, but profound peace. Witnesses nearby described feeling a strange certainty, as if something long promised was finally arriving. Then came the voice, not from loudspeakers or human lips, but within the light itself. Each person heard it in their own language, yet all heard the same message. The voice was neither male nor female, neither young nor old. It simply was. My children, it began, resonating not just in ears, but in hearts. I have watched and waited. I have seen your struggles and your faith. The time of division is ending. The time of unity begins. David Levinson, a professor of archaeology from Tel Aviv University who was present, later described it, "I'm a scientist. I look for rational explanations." But what happened today defies conventional understanding. Thousands of people from dozens of countries all heard the same message in their native tongues. This recalls the account in Acts 2, where people from every nation heard the apostles speaking in their own languages. The voice continued, speaking words that seemed drawn from ancient texts, yet applied with unmistakable relevance to our present day. From this place where Abraham offered his son, where David established his kingdom, where my son walked these streets, I am calling my children home, not to a physical building, but to a unity of spirit. The walls that divide you are of your own making. I see no divisions. As these words resonated across the plaza, something extraordinary began to happen among the gathered crowd. People who had arrived as strangers found themselves embracing. Tears flowed freely. Ancient grudges, political differences, theological disputes, all seemed momentarily suspended in the presence of something greater. An imam from Al-Aqsa, a rabbi from the Western Wall, and a priest from the Holy Sepulchre spontaneously moved toward each other in the center of the plaza. No words were exchanged, but their embrace spoke volumes. Cameras captured this moment, one of the few images that somehow transmitted properly from the scene. "I've served at the Western Wall for decades," Rabbi Shlomo Katz later told reporters. "We have seen moments of tension and moments of peace, but never have I witnessed such a palpable sense of, how can I describe it? It was as if the very air was filled with shalom, true peace, not just the absence of conflict. This isn't hysteria. This is prophecy in motion. What the prophets saw thousands of years ago is unfolding before our eyes." Isaiah foretold, "Many peoples will come and say, 'Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord.'" Isaiah 2:3. And Jesus himself said, "There will be signs in the sun, moon and stars. Men will faint from terror, apprehensive of what is coming on the world." Luke 21:25-26. My friend, do you realize we are witnessing what generations only dreamed of? Share this message so more people awaken to what's happening. Write, "I believe," in the comments if this resonates with your spirit. While the world sleeps, God is calling those who are awake. Are you ready for what comes next? Until then, stay ready, stay faithful. Maranatha. This is happening right now in Jerusalem. The ancient stones of the old city trembled. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. And when I tell you why, you'll understand what prophecy is revealing in our time. They don't want you to see what's really happening. But truth cannot be contained when its time has come. As afternoon turned to evening, the light above Jerusalem intensified rather than faded. Stars became visible within the glowing canopy, though the sun had not yet set. Constellations appearing out of sequence, forming patterns that astronomers would later struggle to explain. The seven strangers, still connected by beams of light, finally moved. In perfect synchronization, they walked toward the center of the Western Wall Plaza, forming a circle. As they joined hands, the ground beneath Jerusalem began to gently tremble, not violently like an earthquake, but rhythmically, like a heartbeat. Seismologists would later confirm that this trembling was detected only within the boundaries of the old city. Beyond the ancient walls, not even the most sensitive instruments registered any movement. Then came the revelation. The voice returned, echoing not just through the plaza, but seemingly from within the stones themselves. "For too long you have looked for signs in the wrong places. The temple I desire is not built by human hands. You yourselves are living stones, being built into a spiritual house." As these words resonated, the light above began to project images onto the Western Wall, not like a modern projection, but as if the stone itself were transforming into a living canvas. Those present witnessed scenes from history, from scripture, and mysteriously from what appeared to be the future. Abraham on Mount Moriah, David establishing Jerusalem as his capital, Solomon dedicating the first temple, the Babylonian exile, the return under Ezra, the Maccabees' revolt, Jesus teaching at the temple, the Roman destruction, the centuries of diaspora, the return to the land in 1948, the reunification of Jerusalem in 1967, and then scenes no one recognized, images of unity, of worship, of a Jerusalem transformed. Dr. Sarah Jacobson, a historian present at the event, later said, "What we witnessed defies conventional explanation. These weren't simple projections. The images seemed three-dimensional, moving not just across but somehow within the ancient stones. And the historical accuracy of scenes from thousands of years ago was uncanny, including details only recently discovered in archaeological digs. As the sun began to set, Painting the Jerusalem sky with hues of gold and purple, the 7 strangers released their hands. The connection of light between them remained, but now expanded outward, touching person after person in the crowd. Witnesses described feeling not just physical warmth, but a profound sense of connection to each other, to the place, to something transcendent. Christians, Muslims, and Jews found themselves praying together, each in their own tradition, yet somehow in harmony. "I've been a tour guide in Jerusalem for 20 years, said Michael Avraham. "I've witnessed tensions, conflicts, and occasional moments of cooperation, but never anything like this. It was as if everyone present suddenly remembered that we are all children of Abraham, all seekers of the same divine presence." As darkness fell completely over Jerusalem, stars shone with unusual brightness above. The phenomenon continued well into the night, with thousands remaining in the plaza, unwilling to leave what many described as the most profound experience of their lives. This isn't mass hallucination. This is prophecy fulfilled. Zechariah wrote, "The Lord will be king over the whole earth. On that day there will be one Lord, and his name the only name." Zechariah 14:9. And in Acts we read, "I will pour out my spirit on all people. I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs on the earth below." Acts 2:17-19. My friend, can you feel this in your spirit? The ancient words awakening in our time. Like this video if you believe God is still speaking today. Share this message so more people awaken to what's happening. While the world sleeps, God is calling those who are awake. Are you ready for what comes next? Until then, stay ready, stay faithful. Maranatha. Today, something eternal awakened over the Temple Mount. The world will never be the same. Those who witnessed it fell to their knees in wonder. And when I tell you why, you'll understand why this moment will be remembered for generations. You're seeing this because you were chosen to understand. Something in your spirit recognizes this moment as different. Dawn broke over Jerusalem with unprecedented beauty. Those who had remained through the night at the Western Wall Plaza described the sunrise as unlike any they had ever witnessed. Colors more vivid, light more pure, as if the world itself had been renewed. The phenomenon that began the previous day had not ended with nightfall, but had transformed. The canopy of light above had spread during the night, now extending beyond the old city, beyond Jerusalem, visible for miles in every direction. As the first rays of sun touched the dome of the rock, something extraordinary occurred. The 7 strangers, who had maintained their circle through the night, raised their hands in unison once more. The beams of light connecting them pulsed with increased intensity, and then, in a moment that thousands would struggle to describe afterward, the light seemed to enter them. Their faces shone briefly with a radiance that made it difficult to look directly at them. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the light vanished, not fading gradually, but withdrawing into the 7 as if they had become its vessels. For several moments, complete silence held the plaza. Then, one by one, the 7 strangers spoke. Each delivered the same message, but in different languages, covering dozens of tongues spoken by those gathered. "The sign has been given," they said. "Now the work begins. What you have witnessed is not the end, but the beginning. Return to your homes, your communities, your nations. Carry what you have seen not just in images or words, but in how you live. The divisions that have separated humanity are healing. The ancient promise is being fulfilled. Jerusalem has always been the place of revelation. Now it becomes the place of reunion." Then, something no one expected, the 7 approached the Western Wall. Together, they placed their hands on the ancient stones. Witnesses closest to them reported seeing what appeared to be text momentarily illuminated within the rock. Ancient Hebrew letters, glowing briefly before fading back into the stone. "Doctor, Eliezer ben David, an expert in ancient Semitic languages who was present, later stated, "The text I saw illuminated in the wall was from Ezekiel. I will give them one heart and put a new spirit within them." It appeared in a script consistent with First Temple period Hebrew, a form that would be unfamiliar to most modern readers. As morning fully arrived, the 7 strangers embraced each other one final time. Then, without fanfare or dramatic gesture, they walked in different directions, disappearing into the growing crowds of Jerusalem. Authorities later confirmed that despite extensive searches and reviews of security footage, the 7 could not be located after leaving the plaza. It was as if they had completed their purpose and simply returned to ordinary life, or perhaps to something beyond. In the days that followed, something remarkable happened across Jerusalem. Reports began flooding in from hospitals of unexplainable healings. Long-standing conflicts between neighbors resolved spontaneously. Shrines, churches, and synagogues overflowed with visitors seeking understanding. Perhaps most tellingly, the number of dreams and visions reported across the region increased exponentially. People from all faiths and backgrounds described receiving similar messages during sleep or meditation, visions of unity, of purpose, of a world transformed not by cataclysm, but by awakening. Whatever happened that day has catalyzed something within the collective consciousness of Jerusalem, noted Dr. Miriam Levy, a psychologist who began documenting these accounts. It's as if a door was opened that cannot now be closed. This isn't coincidence. This is prophecy in motion. Isaiah foresaw, "The earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea," Isaiah 11:9. And Jesus promised, "I am making everything new," Revelation 21:5. My friend, what we witnessed in Jerusalem is just the beginning. The light that appeared above the Temple Mount now moves within human hearts. The ancient promise awakens in our time. Write in the comments, "I am ready," if you feel called to be part of what comes next. Share this message so more people awaken to what's happening. Like this video if you believe that what began in Jerusalem will spread throughout the earth. What happened today stopped a city, but what's coming will transform the entire world. Until then, stay ready, stay faithful. Maranatha.